So Jamaica's first two matches of round three of World Cup qualifying are later this week against Trinidad and Tobago and Bermuda. And of course, that means they just dropped the roster for it. And I'm going to react to it for you guys per usual. This video won't necessarily be a preview and predictions video for those matches, but we will have that video out in a couple of days. So make sure to turn notifications on so you are alerted when that does get released. And of course, please let me know your opinions in the comments down below. I read and react to as many as I can. As you're watching the video at the beginning or the end, make sure to do it at least once. That way I know what you guys think about this roster. But we are going to start the video off by listing off the entire 23-man roster. For those who haven't heard it, of course, if you have, make sure to skip ahead. You can skip to my opinion. And I will also have it to the side of me over here. So let's go from goal to forwards. Per usual, we got Shaquan Davis, Jamali Waite, Tafari, Chambers. No Andre Blake being the notable exception there. In defense, Dexter Lambakisa, Kyle Duncan, Damian Lowe, Richard King, Ethan Pinnock, Mason Holgate, Amari Bell, and Greg Lay. As you guys might know, Kyle Duncan is a new addition to the team there. In midfield, Isaac Hayden, Ian Frey, John Russell, Casey Palmer, Karoy Anderson, Jashawn England, and Kevon Lambert. And then in attack, Kaheem Dixon, Damari Gray, Ronaldo Cephas, Tyrese Campbell, Warner Brown, Bailey Cadamarteri, Michael Antonio, and Shamar Nicholson. So before I get into the notable names left off, let's talk about the new additions to the official Jamaica roster here. And there's three main characters here involved. That's going to be Ian Frey from Inter Miami. That's going to be Bailey Cadamarteri and Kyle Duncan from New York Red Bulls. So a lot of you might be subscribed to the channel because of our series we do where we name off the 7 dual nationals that could join Jamaica. We have 4 parts so far. If you want part 5, leave a like down below. That might be coming out soon. But if you have watched those videos, you might know that we actually named Bailey Cadamarteri on one of them. And he is probably my most excited acquisition here for the Jamaican national team. This season, he is on loan at Sheffield Wednesday. The season just started, so I can't really make any comments on how that's going so far right now. But he has a lot of potential. Even for England, at one point, he was considered to be a prospect. And he did play for the U teams, I believe, playing for at least the U20s most recently, if I remember correctly. But he is a great addition here for Jamaica because Jamaica, in my opinion, strikers are not really the best part of the team. It can be. I mean, you talk about Mason Greenwood. And by the way, we're not really going to talk about Mason Greenwood not being here. I have to mention him every single video we do. At this point, I'm just kind of getting fed up with it, as I'm sure you guys are. Let's focus on the players who are here, and I guess some that are not technically. But let's focus on this roster in particular. Bailey Cadamarteri, I really like it, and I do hope he does get cap-tied, gets game-timed for the Jamaican national team. He was pictured, I think, yesterday already wearing Jamaican colors and kits. So he seems pretty excited to be here, as I would hope so. Now, there are other strikers involved that I will talk about pretty soon that could be above him that also deserve game time. He is coming into a time where a few different strikers deserve a look, definitely. But I am glad that he has finally been called up. He's accepted the call up, which is also very, very important. And he is here, hopefully competing against Bermuda and Trinidad and Tobago. Please excuse the lighting change. I didn't like how it was looking. But Ian Frey and Kyle Duncan being the 2 additions from MLS here. Good additions, solid for depth purposes. I'm really interested in seeing if Ian Frey is going to get opportunities because he normally plays right back for club. It's good that Lambakisa finally has some competition right there, at least good competition, because although I do like Lambakisa, every position does need competition. I'm not saying he's bad at all, but I do want to see sometimes some other playmakers in that role, especially Ian Frey, who does tend to carry the ball forward for club. So I do like to see that a lot. I hope that adds to the buildup, which we don't see enough from the Jamaican national team. And then Kyle Duncan plays almost the exact same role. He also plays right back for Red Bulls in MLS. So again, it's really just depth for the right back position. It's really just competition. I hope all 3 get some game time, which is really doable because that Bermuda game, you should be able to give a lot of players some game time. And then that Trinidad and Tobago game, I do hope by then you might have your current number 1 playing that game, and then maybe bring him on as a sub just to see if anything needs to be changed, or if you want to take a look at him or whatnot. But yeah, those are the 3 main additions who will be new debuts for the Jamaican national team. I do believe Ian Frey was added to the 50-man preliminary roster back in 2023, but I don't believe made the official roster, or if he did, he didn't make his debut. So this could be the actual true official debut for Ian Frey, and it might be, correct me if I'm wrong, his first real addition to an official roster. So those are the 3 main additions we have here. We have a couple other ones that don't normally make these squads, Tafari Chambers being one of them. You also have Jashawn England, who I believe have made other squads in the past, but are not normally with the A team for Jamaica here. But let's talk about some players who are not here. or I guess some that maybe are and shouldn't be. But let's talk about Andre Blake first. I mentioned him when I went over the goalkeepers list. He is not here. He is dealing with an injury, fortunately. That is a huge, huge miss. He, of course, has always been the starting Jamaican goalkeeper for as long as I can remember, at least. So him not being here with all of his experience on the international level and club level is unfortunately a big miss. Jamali Waite is probably going to be the starter moving forward, at least with this window. And I do have confidence in him. He did play a lot of those games in Copa America. Actually, did play all those games in Copa America because Andre Blake was also out because of injury, if I remember correctly. So I do trust him. He's not Andre Blake, no, but he is a decent second alternative just in case. So it does look like Jamal Wade's probably going to be starting here. We also have no Leon Bailey, who I believe did pick up an injury in his first training session for his move to Roma in Italy, which is just totally unlucky and really exudes the luck with this Jamaican national team. So he is not here and he will most certainly be missed. And just to mention injuries to wingers, I believe Damari Gray, if I remember correctly, I think he got subbed out of that last Birmingham City game due to injury. And I think he was in a lot of pain. I don't know the official news on that. So if you do, please let me know in the comments down below. But despite being named here, there's a chance maybe he doesn't go with the team. Maybe he doesn't get any game time because of the injury, so on and so forth. I don't know. But two big players potentially being impacted by injuries going into this World Cup qualifier September cycle. You also have the inclusion here of Michael Antonio. And I have seen that being a very splitting inclusion amongst the Jamaican national team football fans on in social media posts and whatnot. Some think he should be here because he's Michael Antonio, and others think he shouldn't be here because he is technically a free agent. He doesn't have game time under his belt. He's not that sharp, and he's coming off a very serious injury as a result of his really brutal car accident, if you didn't know. So him being here is a little questionable, in my opinion. I mean, I don't really know of any players that maybe deserved it over him. And if you did, let me know in the comments down below. I'm not the most upset that he's here. I just don't think he should be starting. I mean, you have Bailey Carter-Montero, you have Warner Brown, you have Ty Campbell. I think all three of those players deserve more game time than Michael Antonio in this window if you can. He might just be here as, for fitness purposes to train with a team to get sharp, but I really hope he's not starting both games here. And if he is starting a game, maybe just the Bermuda game, which is a little less stakes. You are way heavier favorites for that match. That's where I'd hope he start. But for that Trinidad game, where it's going to be a little more important, I don't hope to see him starting in that first 11. Now we can talk about the elephant in the room, I would say. Jamaica released this watch list. I think it was a 50-man provisional watch list, just announcing who they're paying attention to that they could possibly bring in for this window and our future windows. I think it's a little weird. I personally was not a fan of it. Some people might have been, but for all the dual nationals that Jamaica could bring in, I feel like it was a little bit to appease those fans. It's yeah, we know they're there. Maybe they'll get called in. But looking at the September one, hardly any of those big names really got called in other than the MLS players and Bailey Carter-Montero. I mean, you had Cameron Archer on that list, which would have been a huge addition. You had Rico Henry on that list, which also would have been a huge addition. I would have absolutely loved to see them here. I believe Steve McLaren has said that they're in the process of getting their passports and whatnot, and all that thing. We know how tough and complicated that whole system is, judging by the Mason Greenwood thing, and that's a whole story on its own. That might be a future video, but unfortunate that we don't see these players here. Now, not the worst thing in the world. These are the first two games, and although they are very important, one is against Bermuda, which you should be winning, and if you don't win that game, not even draw. If you don't win that match, we will have to have some serious conversations. And Trinidad and Tobago, I think you can get by with the squad you have pulled up now, but for the future and leading into that World Cup, given that they qualify, I would love to see those players sometime soon. The sooner you can get them in, the sooner they can adapt to the squad, the sooner they can build more of a family, I guess, just for the lack of a better term. Cohesion, team cohesion, very important going into next year's World Cup. So as soon as you can bring them in, the better. Now, you might be looking at this list and notice a very glaring issue, which is very persistent with this Jamaican national team. And you guys know I have to mention it in every single Jamaican video we do. The midfield is still a little lacking. What's great is Isaac Hayden is still in here. Casey Palmer is here. I like Kevon Lambert being back in the squad here, but no one really gives me the confidence that I would like from those players. And from the midfield as a whole, like I said, you guys know the midfield has been a huge problem for the Jamaican national team and is a root cause as to why they don't have more success. I was hoping that with that 50-man provisional list, they would have been able to add more midfielders. That is still not the case. I'm still hoping for that moving forward, but I do think, again, that's going to be the weak spot. And Steve McLaren knows that, which is why their main tactic is to literally just boot the ball forward, hope that someone gets on the end of it, hope there's a mistake, hope we can string together one or two passes and put the ball in the back of the net. Doesn't work in my opinion. That's going to continue to be the way they play, unfortunately. at least until that midfield gets better. And it doesn't look like it's going to anytime soon. So keep an eye on the midfield. Make sure to keep an eye on them as you're watching those games and see if they really have improved. Because over the course of my 2 to 3 years of really following this team, they haven't. So I really hope we do see some more better improvement in the system, in the players individually, and the way they move the ball forward. I really do hope we see a bigger improvement. But overall, with this team, I mean, it's not that much different. It's still a solid team and a team that really should be getting to that World Cup next year. Without a doubt, they should be. They should be topping this group. Not to say it's easy, not to say that it's a guarantee, but if you're Jamaica, you really should be doing so over the likes of Trinidad and Tobago, Curaçao, and Bermuda. If you finish second to any of those teams, it would just be another disappointment, considering that Jamaica are by far the favorites to win this entire group. There are some players I want to see more of and want to see good improvements from in terms of how they've been playing. I'm like Warner Brown. He did not impress me in the Gold Cup at all. He was doing fine in World Cup qualifiers before that, so maybe this is where he returns to his form for the JFF. I would love to see Ty Campbell get some games. I think he should have got more games and more minutes in that Gold Cup, but unfortunately he didn't for whatever reason. Even when Warner Brown wasn't working out, for some reason Steve didn't want to call up on him. So the fact that he's here is a good sign. I am hoping he gets some game time and maybe even a start in one of those games. And then honestly, that defense, I do want to see a little bit more of an improvement for, because they have some big names here and they have some really well performing players like Amari Bell, who's been absolutely fantastic as far as I know for Charlton Athletic, which is, by the way, Jamaica's pretty much only professional club in England. Haha. But I definitely do want the fullbacks to improve as well. Lemikisa and Greg Lay. I want to see more from them in terms of build up and adding to that attack. And if they're not doing it, I do want to see Ian Frey and Duncan in there as well, getting some minutes and getting some opportunities with the team. So let's hope they do that this round. But of course, I'm fairly confident going into these next two matches with the roster that Jamaica has assembled here. Again, for both games, they're still the favorites, whether you want to say that or not. They are without a doubt the favorites for both of those matches, and they have the roster to get 6 points. So let's hope they do so. Now, we might be going live for that Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica match. And if you want to see that, let us know in the comments or by leaving a like. And if you're not subscribed already, what are you doing? Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys want more Jamaican content, CONCACAF content, World Cup content. But like I said, we will have preview and predictions out for these September matches for all of CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. So make sure to subscribe if you're not ready, and the notifications on for those videos so you know when they come out. And yeah, that's going to be it for me, guys. My name is Elijah. Hopefully see you guys in those videos or other videos in the future. And yeah, take care, guys.